Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining. My name is Berit and today I have a video for you that is a little bit different from what I usually do because this week my parents are visiting and they are here by car, which means that I am a lot more mobile in this region than I usually am, because in Norway you kind of have a problem visiting places easily when you don't have a car. So I thought this might be a good opportunity to attempt filming a reading vlog kind of thing, because if we take some nice trips, then I thought, I can just record some of that and then also combine it with babbling about whatever I'm reading. So I hope this will be fun for you or interesting for you, or possibly both. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I enjoy the process of filming kind of a reading vlog thing. So, yeah, I guess I'll see you around during the week. So today is Saturday. I don't know what we're gonna do today, but I thought I might start by just telling you what I'm reading at the moment so that you know what's coming for you in this attempt of a reading vlog. So I'm still reading Hoshin Engi. I am kind of 2/3 through volume 16. I haven't read for a few days because I have started to be afraid that dramatic and sad things will start to happen soon, and I'm not sure that I'm braced for that. I want to keep reading this. I'm also reading The City Always Wins by Omar Robert Hamilton. This is my book pick for the world travel thing from my library, where for August we have Cairo on the list, and this is a novel about the revolution in Egypt from 2011, and it's about a generation of young people after the fall of Mubarak, and they are fighting for a new Egypt and trying to build a new country basically. So far it's interesting. I haven't read much. I'm on page 34, but we will see how it goes. I think this will probably be pretty brutal in some ways, but I also think that it's very interesting, or that it will be very interesting, so I'm excited for that one. And the third book that I'm reading is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Yeah. This is a kind of, supposedly a kind of Romeo and Juliet retelling, but set in 1920s Shanghai with gangs and monsters. I like the setup. I like the idea of 1920s Shanghai. The West is kind of coming in, and tradition and modernity are clashing, but I don't love how much the book itself likes that it is that way. So the book will constantly be like overly dramatic and very openly like cool and brutal and stuff like that. I'm not loving that part of the narration, but I mean, I have read 100 pages, so I'm obviously also not hating it. We'll see how this goes. One thing that I do like is that they have they are very aware of the dialects and the languages that are spoken. So we have Shanghainese here, we have Russian, we have English. We might have some French, I don't remember. But I like that the book makes you aware that the people in it, the characters, they come from different cultures, they come from different countries, so they speak different languages. And it's also, I think the mix of West and East in this book so far is working very well. This is something that I really enjoy so far. I am enjoying it, but I'm also sometimes like, dial it down a little. You can also be cool and brutal and stuff like that, more subtle than this. But I'm also not sure if I'm the assumed readership for this book, because I think it's on the verge of like young adult and adult, and I usually don't read young adult because I often don't enjoy it anymore. So yeah, maybe that's just one of the things yeah, that make me realize, okay, so this is maybe meant for younger readers than me. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Today it's Monday, like 10:15. Yesterday we took a trip. The weather was kind of okay. For Norwegian standards, it was fine. It was a bit of clouds, a bit of wind, and a bit of rain, of course. We took a trip to Mandal, which is one of the small cities along the southern coast, which was very nice. I haven't been there before. And then we drove on to the Lindesnes lighthouse, which is apparently the southernmost point on the Norwegian coast, like onshore, not an island or something. And that was very nice. The wind was extremely strong, and there was one pretty heavy rain shower. But apart from that, it was cool. It was very nice. And then in the evening I read some more. I didn't read on Saturday, I think. And yesterday I read for a little bit, mostly in These Violent Delights. I'm on page 127 now, so I read like 20 pages, not a lot. And I'm still kind of on the fence about whether I really like it or not. I think it's okay. It has gotten a bit more gory than I thought. Like, we have descriptions of people going mad and ripping out their own throats, which are more graphic than I had expected. It's fine. The book is still kind of celebrating its own coolness, but I think I do like the story. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know what we will do today, but I might check in with you tonight and talk about what we did, and or tell you what I might be reading tonight. I'm back. It's Tuesday evening around 10 p.m. Today was a very nice day. I think it was the first day without any actual rain since Friday. So that was nice, but also that meant that the day was very warm. The sun was shining and the weather forecast said it was like 23 degrees, but that was a big fat lie. It was a lot warmer. But we took a trip to a local park with the name Ravnedalen, and that was very nice. And other than that, it was a nice and chill day. And yesterday I also did some reading. I read These Violent Delights, and yeah, I'm past the halfway point now. I am on page 257, so I read a little more than 100 pages since yesterday morning, which is quite a bit, but also I slept very bad last night and I couldn't get to sleep, so that's why I read so much. The reading flow in this novel is overall quite well. I kind of want to know what happens next, so I keep reading, and it is interesting, the overall story. The fact that the book celebrates its own coolness quite a bit doesn't really go away, but it's also not like a huge deal breaker or something. It's more like, yeah, come on, we know you're cool, so let's move on to more interesting things. And also, a lot of the times when the characters sneer or when they are mean or when they allude to something, the book will kind of spell it out for you, and I think that's a bit of a pity because I would like to discover more myself of what lies underneath what is being told. But the book kind of gives away a lot of that, but I think that might be because I think I've mentioned that at the beginning. I think this is aimed at people who are a bit younger than me. But yeah, as I said, it's not a huge deal. It's just a bit like, I would like it more if this was written a bit differently. But anyway, the story is interesting. I think in the last, 100 pages, it dragged just a teeny tiny bit, not too much, but a little bit. On the other hand, yeah, it's an interesting story. Roma and Juliet have to cooperate, and they start to investigate where the source of the madness comes from, which is quite interesting because it leads them to the communists in the city. And what I still really enjoy here is the description of the multicultural setting of all the foreigners in China. And there was one scene that was like the masquerade ball where in the original Romeo and Juliet meet for the first time. But those two, of course, know each other, but they are both at this kind of masquerade ball, and there you have some thoughts on imperialism and also on patriarchy. So that was very interesting, and I still think that the description of all the cultures and the languages and the dialects, that is really well written, and it's very interesting to read that. So overall, it is a joy to read it still. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep reading it, of course. So yeah, I think I will read some more tonight. And if I keep reading at this pace, I will probably finish this book. Not by tomorrow, but by the day after tomorrow, I guess. I'll check in with you either tomorrow or the day after that. Depends very much on whether I feel that I have some interesting updates for you. So, see ya. Good morning. It is Friday now, and the last 2 days were quite nice. On Wednesday we took a little trip to Lillesand, which is another small town by the coast, and yesterday we were for the most part just here in the city. And we'll see what we'll do today. I think the weather will be quite nice again, so if we're visiting someplace nice, I might take some footage of that. In other news, I did finish These Violent Delights yesterday, last night. And I gotta say, I think it was okay. Kind of. Like, I might mark this off as a spoiler section. So I had heard before that this book ends on a huge dramatic cliffhanger, and I thought that the cliffhanger was okay. I didn't see the drama in it. I mean, right before the cliffhanger there was something that I found a lot more dramatic, so maybe people were talking about that. I might have to check that. I might read the sequel when it comes out, but and I mean, I'm glad that I read it because I was curious about the story and about the setup and about the novel in general, but I'm also okay with the fact that I just borrowed it from the library and I didn't buy it, which sounds a lot meaner than I mean it, but anyway. So some quick thoughts on the book. I already mentioned that I like the cultural side of it and how they discuss imperialism and all the cultures and languages that come together, and that is more in the background in the last third, because the last third concentrates more on Roma and Juliet and on the monster hunt madness thing that's going on. I did like the dynamic between Roma and Juliet in general. I think what I found a bit confusing was that in parts the book is very close to Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare, and in part it diverges very much, and the mix for me was kind of strange, I guess, in retrospect. Like, the story diverges relatively heavily. We have a lot of characters with names that start with the same letter as their original counterparts do. So we have Tyler, who is supposed to be Tybalt. We have Benedict, who's supposed to be Benvolio. We have Marshall, who is supposed to be Mercutio, etc., etc. And the thing is that I kind of expected that the roles that these characters would have would be closer to the original, which they kind of aren't always. And there were some things there that I didn't love. For example, Tyler in this book, so Tybalt, he is a bad guy. He is the not like the evil guy, because that's someone else, of course, but he's a bad guy. And I felt that or maybe that's just me liking Tybalt, but I feel that in Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt isn't exactly a bad guy. I mean, he is the one who kills Mercutio, but he also is in the middle of this kind of misunderstanding and trying to protect the Capulets. So I don't know, I didn't ever feel that Tybalt was the bad guy in Romeo and Juliet so much. I mean, the bad guy in Romeo and Juliet is miscommunication, so I also liked Marshall a lot in this book, but he might have had some sympathy points in advance from me because I also love Mercutio in the original. I think he's probably my favorite character in the whole play. And another thing that I enjoyed, but at the same time I thought it was a pity that they don't do more with that in the book. I like that they allude to a possible romance between Benedict and Marshall. I think the thing that confused me was that I was expecting a lot more of the original in this book, because with things like the names and some iconic lines, they were very close to the original, but then the story itself diverges quite strongly. So maybe this thought of this being a Romeo and Juliet retelling might have spoiled a bit of the reading fun. Not much, but a little bit. And also the only two moments that I remember where they have iconic lines from the original play in this book, in both cases I didn't feel it was quite fitting. The one line is this one, I hate all Montagues, or I hate all Montagovs in this case, by Tybalt or Tyler, and the other line, of course, a plague on both your houses, which I found kind of misplaced. I think overall I enjoyed the first half of the book better than the second half. I think that is mainly because in the second half we have more of Roma and Juliet dynamics, which is okay, but I just enjoyed the Shanghai cultural part of it more. And I was kind of waiting for things to maybe turn around a bit again, but they didn't. So the second half is a lot more driven by, yeah, Roma and Juliet and the monster thing, but also the monster hunt was kind of, it didn't drag, but I don't know, I wasn't quite satisfied with how the pacing was for that part of the story. And I think overall, I mean, the book has 440 pages in this edition. I think for me the book might have worked a bit better if it had been a bit shorter, like 50 pages or something. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on these Violent Delights. It was quite a nice vacation read, so I'm glad I read it. And then after finishing these Violent Delights, I continued reading Hoshin Engi. I finished volume 16 and now I'm halfway through volume 17. I will not tell you what happens here because everything would be a huge spoiler, and also I will cover that in my mini-series. But I will say that I was not wrong when I said in the beginning that I'm afraid that dramatic things will happen soon, because dramatic things started happening. And I don't want to say that I did tear up twice pretty strongly yesterday, but if I would deny it, that would be a lie, so make of that what you will. We'll see. I will probably continue reading Hoshin Engi, and maybe I'll read a bit more in The City Always Wins. Yeah. And I think if I have some interesting updates, I will give them to you. And other than that, see ya. Hello, it's me again, just for the outro part. So yeah, that was a week of vacation for me, a week of reading, and I hope that you enjoyed this little, well, not photo dump, but video dump, with me babbling about these Violent Delights and me showing you hopefully nice shots of Southern Norway. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and maybe I'll see you in the next one. Bye.